Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, to folks refusing to wear masks, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses. She's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Holy moly, everybody. I don't think there's a way to describe the wild ride of emotions we've all been on, not just, honestly, for almost a decade now, but, look, off the top of my head, right? The things to talk about just today, another freaking, plane crashes. Fortunately, there are no fatalities being reported, but a Delta Airlines from Minnesota to Toronto had to make a crash landing, and if you look at the footage, it is upside down, and it's a lot. I'm flying again in a couple weeks. I don't know how I feel because I don't have faith in this administration to keep people safe. And with that in mind, that's what I was starting with. Is there's so many things that have happened even since we last spoke on Friday. There was a news story that broke later that day, I believe, that the Doge bags, Dodgy, my husband likes the nickname Dodgy, they terminated hundreds of people from the energy department. And it turns out there's so many layers to this story that it's hard to even grab it. Again, this is the flood the zone element, right? And at least 50 people who were terminated, whose employment was terminated, were in charge of some of the security for nuclear sites here and abroad. And they didn't know until it was too late. They terminated them, shut down their email contacts because they had government emails. Apparently, part of this agency's procedure is to not bother getting secondary information as far as emails and things like that. Not that if I was fired and then all of a sudden, guess what happened? Some folks said, hey, wait a minute. Those are some really important positions. That's part of our national security, and we need those people back. We need to unfire them. Yeah, they want to unfire people because this is how savvy, how educated, how capable these people are right now, because they're going in what seems to be with AI, with artificial intelligence, they're using like keywords, right? So if something honest to God says transition, they're terminating those programs. And I'll get to that in a minute. But these were probationary positions, right? So I guess a lot of people figure, like, for example, back in 2001, I applied to be a police officer with the Chicago Police Department. And you have, as far as I can recall, there's sort of this probationary period where you're still being trained. You're full time, but not quite at the part of full time. You have 18 months as probationary, then you become a police officer, part of the force. And so this term, I think, is used to make sure that you're up to speed, that you are qualified, that we'll kind of wait and see how it goes. And that happens in a lot of different fields. However, the way they have it also employed at the different departments, including the FAA, which we also were talking about a moment ago, and at the Department of Energy, probationary can also mean when you might be moving into another position, like a promotion. So they have a probationary. So you are already skilled. You've already been doing the work for the department, and they're going to put you in a probationary period to see if this next position is appropriate for you and for them. But the Doge bags. What do you guys like better? Just 773-763-9278. Dodgy or Doge bags, or do you have another one? And ones that are appropriate for the FCC, because who knows what's going to happen there next. At any rate, so they fired folks that were qualified, that were essential, that not just to the departments, but to our national safety. So now they're desperately trying to unfire them. I don't know about you, but I would also be unreachable. Triple my salary. I can work from home. Half a year off. I don't know. What would be your demands? So that's another story that happened on Friday. And then, there's just the overarching idea that they have access to all of our information. And there are alarm bells going off within the department, the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, because they're like, hey, they want to get through this highly protected system we have to protect people's information, because if your information is breached by somebody inappropriately, unlawfully, all those things, you can sue. So what are we doing now? If even the people in the IRS are like, hey, excuse me, this is not a good idea. But I believe that because Donald has given these guys free reign over our entire system, and they're not going in there with a scalpel. And believe me, the people who are screaming about it's all waste, you're just mad because now Democrats can't cheat anymore. I can't stress this enough. People who live in rural areas who tend to vote more conservatively are the ones that will be, I think, most devastated. Like urban areas, we have like Chicago, we have our challenges, but we also have a stronger mechanism for our economy in having so many layers. I know it's a lot of bureaucracy, but and I'm not saying we're not vulnerable. Believe me, we're vulnerable, but areas that are conservative and places that are vulnerable to natural disasters like we're seeing. There's another story. The governor of Georgia, Governor Kemp, who, while Biden was president, gave that kind of quick comment about how grateful he was to President Biden, that that the president had said, hey, whatever you need, give me a call. Don't hesitate to reach out. And Governor Kemp said he was grateful for that. This weekend, the governor of Georgia reached out to the White House and said, hey, we were anticipating these funds to be extended. That was our understanding with FEMA. And the White House said, nope, you're done. We are cutting off more funding because one of the agencies that Musk wants to shut down is FEMA, which they spread so many lies. They lied to people that were trying to just get through the wreckage of their homes being washed away. In North Carolina, the destruction in Florida and in Georgia, Kentucky, they lied to them and said you're only going to get $750. Well, now that might be whatever funds they got, that's going to be it. And the rest of this funding was intended for clearing more of the wreckage and the debris and make sure that the properties could be restored and they could rebuild. And over the weekend, the White House said, no, you do not get any more funds. So that's another story. There's a story out of Pennsylvania. So this is what I was talking about with transition. So transition, I guess they just see that as they're just using that as an AI search word. And they're like, for example, many of you know, those of you who are new to the show, because I know we got a lot of new listeners. I'm so excited. Thank you for joining us. And if you're hate watching, thanks for driving up our numbers on the page. We've gotten several thousand new followers because you helped amplify our messages. But I have a beautiful son. I have two beautiful boys, Griffin, who is 21 and a junior in college, and my younger son, Declan, who is 19 and was born with some medical physical challenges. He was not expected to survive. And through the incredible work of the doctors and nurses, and now through the years, his physical therapist, his neurologist, he's just such a wonderful soul and makes my world a bigger place. And he is now post what we would have traditionally. He is now 19, which would be post high school. In the state of Illinois, we have a program where kids continue to go to these day programs, whether it's still at the school, continuing there in their routine and their environment. So that's what he's in. And then from there, he transitions from the day programs to whatever is going to have. Some of the kids will go to work. They might go to assisted living. For Declan, it would be probably some like day programs for him in our community. That's our plan. So it's a transition. So so angry in Pennsylvania, because this program, one of these programs, I guess included some language, but it also said transition program. They lost all their funding for 72 students who were about to age out at the age of 22. And I suspect there's going to be more stories. And I would encourage, I know this is scary times. Believe me, I'm on the air on Facebook. I'm getting threats. I'm being called things like liberal whore. There's just a lot of things, and I know this is daunting. And I don't expect everybody to be in this at the same pace. I wish and I encourage, I guess, folks who have the ability, if it is in your power, and this is happening in Alabama, the electric company sent out a letter saying, hey, all the bills are going to go up about at least $100, on average $100. Some people are seeing their bills go up like $400, $600 more. And they directly say it's because of decisions made in the White House because of Donald Trump. And they're saying, we need every agency, like Declan's school sent home a letter that I appreciate that they wanted us to know that the programs were safe, that our children were loved and cared for in their environment. Why did they didn't say why they had to send the letter, just like events in the news or something. Say it. I don't know what you're not lying. You're just saying because of recent decisions by the Trump administration, we are cutting these programs. We are going to be charging you more. You will no longer qualify for VA benefits. Oh, that's the other one. They fired people from the Veterans Crisis Hotline. I think it was 1,000. And I know that all these numbers are moving. And look, I know that we put some things up on Facebook sometimes, and then there's explanations or context or different numbers, or the story changes. We are doing this in real time. And sometimes I think, well, I'll take that down because it's no longer accurate. And there are things I put up that people ask a question. I genuinely go, oh, I'm looking at that a different way. And I can see that. And I also know that I'm getting into some of these arguments. Last week, Elliot told me that if I feed some of the trolls, it also would, get more folks who maybe want to be a part of this space, be a part of this community. They might see it because there's so many more eyeballs on it. So I got sucked into some of these arguments, and then your adrenaline just magnified by the, whether it's rage or whatever it is. So I'm going to try to pace myself. I also think that I need to scale back some of that snarkiness, because while I generally will get into these arguments or conversations or back and forth with people, my intention is to let other people in our community know that they're not alone, that we are rolling up our sleeves, that we aren't, when they go low, no, we are going 0 F's given. I'm ready to go scorched earth. However, I also know, listening to conversations like the one that Richard Chu had last week with former MAGA members who said that calling them stupid wasn't helpful, or it was saying that they're in a cult, that's not helpful. And so I want to find that pace. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago when I left town during the first week of this administration. I'm going to keep having to come back to a resetting. And that's really, to me, what it means to be a liberal, is taking in new information and then going forward based on that better understanding. And so I want to find a way to have these conversations where I'm not being snarky or cruel or mean, because I know that you get angry, especially when you're concerned about people, whether it's my son who has the programs, and I know that I can reach out to folks and get more information. I have that bandwidth. I have that skill set. I know there are families who don't have access to that, and that's who I fight for. I fight for union members, for laborers who are really clinging to so much of the accomplishments that we have had over a century of fighting for safety in the workplace, for wages. I fight for teachers, for students, for teachers who are often the targets of so much vitriol because, yes, I mean, so much gets thrown out there into the arena of, what teachers are fighting for, and it spills into the politics, and then people push back and they think they want too much, and there's all this contention. But there are so many teachers out there that, man, I don't know how they do it at that pace to make sure their kids have everything they need, will dip into their own bank accounts. It's not just a Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3:30, or from bell to bell, and then summer's off. You know that it's so much more than that. Their blood, sweat, and tears, their energy, their emotional energy, their physical energy. I fight for them, for nurses who work tirelessly to save kids like mine and have to take everything that's coming at them. Our medical professionals who have been on the front lines. Our people who are working in small businesses, whether it's at a restaurant or at a grocery store or retail, who have to take so much verbal abuse from people, and they're just trying to get by. So many of us living paycheck to paycheck, working 40, 50, 60-hour weeks and still struggling to pay for our rent, for our health care, for our, for every little thing that they nickel and dime us for. And I'm not the only one fighting. So many of you are too. So here's what I think I need to start doing is, one, I want to ask you, what grabs you? I started the show talking about the story of the plane crashing in Toronto, and we've had several aviation disasters. Of course, the catastrophic plane crash in D.C., as well as military planes that have crashed. Private jets carrying people for medical purposes have crashed. The plane in Alaska. So is aviation one of the things that is on your mind, or is that kind of under the umbrella of everything else that seems to be going sideways? Is it education? Because if they do eliminate the Department of Education, there are so many students that are going to suffer, and schools. People are posting again on my wall. We put up a list of the things that are in jeopardy and are going to be on the chopping block if they eliminate the Department of Energy. And people are like, well, I don't see on that list improving outcomes. Because that's what the state runs, right? The Department of Education is partly to ensure that everybody has access to an education, to be safe, to have the opportunities, whether it's children of color or kids with disabilities. And it is funding. It is also a funding agency. So it's about, I think it's, if I remember, it's like 14%. And that's a whole nother conversation about how we fund education, how lopsided and just underfunded and on the backs of property owners. And we know in Illinois that so many people struggle with that. So is it health care? Is it abortion care? Is it what's on your mind? I know it's the whole thing, but here's what we all do need to focus on is, trying to pace ourselves. Everybody, we need all of you here taking care of yourselves, not guzzling this all down. Even for me, if you got to take a break, you can come back and listen to all of the shows. We're podcast, but I hate telling you to just even what I'm saying here, and it's part of the reason why I try to mix it up with community groups, whether it's theater or our positivity expert, our friend Jen Zanotti. Try to mix it up by having comedians in, and so it's not constantly going over the day's news, the day's horrors, the things that we just cannot believe are happening. So tell me, what are the things, and I want to find a way to help sort of maybe focus on those. And I can't say Tuesday we'll do, the abortion care because so many things change and I only have 2 hours and I want to make sure we're having conversations with you, of course. So tell me what are your top two things that you that when you see those stories, or is it just too much? And you can tell me that too. 773-763-9278. You can call or text to 773-763-9278. That's the number to reach us. If you call, that's Lady B who will answer. Please be kind to her, because if I can tell that you're not, I will grab that phone and put you right on the air and say, hello, what were you saying? Yeah, I keep forgetting to do that. Do not. And look, if you have a bone to pick with me, let's see how it goes. 773-763-9278. More in a moment. And thank you to our sponsors. So I started out hot out of the gate. Top of the show, I need to remind you guys every single night how proud I am to have the sponsors that make these conversations possible. Please go to their websites and support what they're doing, because that supports what we're doing here at WCPT. So thankful for our new sponsor, Source Solar. You can go to source.solar. They are Illinois' source for solar. Schedule an appointment. Find out if you're a right fit for getting solar panels on your house. And, of course, Minocqua Brewing as well. I will be in Madison at the Tap Room tomorrow. We're going to be live broadcasting the show. That's from 5 to 7 o'clock at the Madison Minocqua Brewing Tap Room. So come on out and hang out. I'd love to see you. And if you look, and I know I have friends a lot of folks who don't drink beer or don't like beer. Come on out. They've one to hang out with community. The other, they've got great gear. They've also great root beer, orange soda, and their pizza is so good there. All right. Hope to see you tomorrow. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Out Chicago.
If you think of every single thing from the Supreme Court to deporting these poor immigrants who are just trying to work hard and feed their families and have a better life, to the trans community that was thrown under the bus, you just wonder, where will the hate, where will the fear end? And if you keep thinking about it, like I just mentioned, it's a nowhere street mentally.
Catch Out Chicago every Sunday, 11 to 1 on WCPT 820. You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I am your host, Patti Vasquez, and we love it. Does start to feel like a wellness check for me and for you, Jim in Chicago. How are you doing, my friend?
Hi, Patty. The IRS called me this morning. It was early. I said, where do I send the check? To Johannesburg, South Africa? Or?
Jeez.
He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you know who's running the IRS now? Peter Keel and 4 or 5 of his kids.
Yep.
Or I don't know how many kids he's got. That's why I'm going to send the check there. But this is how, what a frustrating world we live in. I called on Friday to see if it was a bank holiday on Monday, right? So I called my bank. And they go, oh, we got to have your number. I said, I'm just asking you a question. I said, what if I was on my deathbed? And I asked you, is Monday a federal holiday? And if you didn't know, just say you don't know.
Yeah.
But why would you? But this is the world we live in today. People have a very difficult time communicating, even with all of this internet and all this other stuff. They have a terrible time communicating. But first of all, reason, human reason, has no authority. There's no authority over reason.
No.
But that's our God-given ability to reason things out, and you can tell that a reasonable person would see that this lunatic's leading us into a tragedy, and any reasonable person would realize that. And remember this: now, cults. You think of the cults. You've got David Koresh, who got all of his followers burned to death. You got Jimmy Jones, who was in Guyana, who poisoned 900 people. I mean, that's how these cults end.
Well, I think that when you also have, cultures and societies that sort of have this certain parts of our communities that everyone agrees to, here, from what I'm going at is I was raised in the Mormon church, right? So there are people who step back and go, oh, wait a minute. And there are people who leave the church and it's painful because you're raised that way. But I think it also it seems, make some people a little more open to accept these kinds of narratives, especially when you mix in religion and say that it's women who are having abortions, it's their fault. So they've been kind of intertwining these things. I talk about this, how we have so much conservative radio in rural areas. You have a sermon and the next thing you know, it's Sean Hannity right afterwards, and they blend together. So I think there's some of that, and it is really painful to say that you're wrong about something or that someone misled you and you were part of it. You know what I mean? So it's hard, man.
Yeah. You remember Sid Carol Lewis had his book in the 1920s, Elmer Gantry, and you've got a lot of Elmer Gantrys out there now. They're a dime a dozen. And I'll call him when I see him on occasion. I'll have, send some money to the Africans, for instance. So I called him. I said, what about Musk? I said, he stole so much money from Africa. He could definitely outfit a couple of the kids and give them some grub. What do you mean? I said, well, he stole so much money from Africa. They colonized it, the Dutch and English. I don't want to go into the histrionics of it, but I mean the preposterous nature of this. And they end it with a sermon like,
right.
Trump is saved by God, by the assassin's bullet, and Trump will save us because God put him on the throne.
Right.
And that's absolutely ridiculous. It's not even it makes not an iota of sense.
And again, there are people, like you said, who just full-heartedly believe that he is anointed. I heard them when I was in Milwaukee talking about how God saved him to save the country, which then leads to that quote, which is another story that was on Saturday. When you save the country, you are you're above the law or something with very Hitler-esque, I know.
Right. I know. But I mean, when you think of how these people, the rise of these, Viktor Orban, for instance, I mean, that was the Republicans' pinup boy. They were going there regularly and getting advice on how to run a dictatorship. The Republicans. And these Republicans, it falls at their door because they're the ones that are promoting this dictatorship. They're promoting the dictatorship in the United States of America where, I mean, my God, my father fought in the Second World War from 41 to 45. My uncles were all in the wars. My friends were in Vietnam. My best friend was drafted. My cousins did 2 tours there. And I guarantee you none of them would believe this. They wouldn't believe that they were going to be dictated to by an absolute rapist and lunatic rapist. Did you see him go to the thing with he flew his plane there with the red hat with, Make America Great Again with his granddaughter, breaking into the stadium. And then going into a diatribe about, I'm not going to let Zelensky. I think Zelensky's approval ratings are too high. They're just too high.
Yeah.
I mean, but this is how mentally disturbed this man is.
And that's another story. I haven't even gotten to the Vance thing. That's nuts that he was chastising them. And oh my God.
Yeah, but Trump was complaining about Zelensky's approval ratings, that they were too high. Now, who would do that? Who in God's name would do that? Who on earth would do that? Only a lunatic would do that.
And a guy who's obsessed with ratings. I mean, like that's what he is a reality TV star.
Sure. Well, sure, that's all he knew. It was, and their premise was his ratings. And remember, even when he didn't get any publicity, he would call up under a pseudonym.
Yes.
And make up a story just to get into the limelight with some demented limelight that he has. This dimension of
Jim. You and
only way you can. Go ahead, Patty.
No, you and I got to take a breath. I got to get to a break, my friend.
no, but it's all right, Patty. But still, I mean, what else can you do? I mean, it's so unbelievable. There was a poem by Archibald MacLeish, Bassarat. I read it in school. It was, the world is ending, but in the poem, everybody's going about their business. The jugglers are juggling, the circus is going, everything's going. In the meantime, the world is ending.
Yep.
I mean, when I think of that, since this guy showed up, all I can think is that poem of Bassarat. It just sticks in my mind because it's so pointed about how the world is going upside down.
It's a wild ride. It is. I'm glad I have my seatbelt on. Yeah, thank you so much.
Get to the break. Thank you,
Take care, Jim. Thanks. With Jim, we've got another line open. I know the phone lines are full right now, so thank you so much for calling in. Let me give. Let's take a break here and continue our conversation when we come back. Thank you, everybody, for joining us to Drive It Home.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Count me among the Americans that want to see change. Now, of course, the change I was looking for would have put Kamala Harris in the White House. Americans voted for change. They just, Trump, I think they got the wrong kind. Still, I'm grateful for elections, even when we lose. They tell us about ourselves, and we can't ignore that and shouldn't.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Union Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine, and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
I don't like the bad words in this song. They're blasphemous. I can't sing along.
Well, here's a version just for you. Sing with me, just like Jesus would do. And vote! Gosh darn it! Oh, gosh darn Please vote! Gosh darn it! Oh, gosh darn it's the American thing to vote! Gosh darn it! Gosh darn it! See that
Did you think that Steve Goody was going to swear? Oh, we might have right there. That's Steve Goody. You can go to stevegoody.com for his songs. I wanted to play a little bit of his vote, gosh darn it, because there are some elections coming up, including I think there's primaries going on in Wisconsin, and then their general is April 1st, and we'll be going up there to do some work on campaigns like Judge Susan Crawford, who is running for the Supreme Court, because there's a lot at stake with Wisconsin. Goes so much of how we continue to claw back and get out of this. At least I don't know if it's getting out of the madness or at least just not letting more madness spread over 4 years. I don't know. Donnie, what's on your mind in St. Charles?
Oh, that poor child that was tortured. And
which one?
In the motel. I'm so upset about him.
I haven't heard this story. Oh,
it's horrible. And to think that he or she was all alone and nobody was taking care of them. I'm sorry to be so destroyed, but it's terrible.
Oh, I had not seen this story. It's Sam Nordquist, a 24-year-old transgender man was, I'm so sorry to hear this. This is a transgender man from Minnesota. Again, there's so much happening, Donnie. I want to thank you for bringing the story to our attention.
Please, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so upset.
I'm glad that you called us. And here's the thing:
perpetrators need some serious therapy.
There were 5 people. 5 people have been charged in New York after allegedly torturing, killing a transgender man in Yates County, New York. And for weeks, you guys, because this is the hate again. I think what you're feeling is that for so many months, for the last over a decade, when it started with these stupid arguments about bathrooms, and I've said this over and over again, nobody who cares who's in the bathroom, and if you don't want a transgender person in the bathroom,
why would we care?
No one cared, and they made these people, and these kinds of arguments make people, hear that, they get angry, they get radicalized. When you dehumanize, this is exactly what we talk about. When you dehumanize and marginalize people and say that they're less than need to be loved, and all the people who jump on my page are like, oh, they're mentally ill. So and what? Well, who cares though? I mean, I have mental health issues. Does that mean I should be? But it doesn't. Right? It doesn't manifest because It doesn't manifest in my needing to transition and if that were
to hurt somebody, right. You don't want to hurt somebody.
So how is that mental illness that if it was a mental health issue? But President Biden did, there is a category of body dysphoria, and so in order to help people, who know that there's something that they're supposed to be, that they want to live that way, we will then help them instead of them. That's the part. Why exacerbate it? Why make people hurt each other? Why the suicide rate in the trans community is incomprehensible. And even the governor of Utah, right, the Mormon governor of Utah, he decided to veto the legislation when they were going to ban transgender programs or access to athletics. And because who does it hurt? Except to make people crazy, suffer,
well,
and other people.
It hurts all of us.
It does, exactly.
It hurts all of us because we're not exposed to these differences, which are completely acceptable if we just relax.
Yeah. Oh, I know that you're feeling this so deeply. I know that when these stories, and it's going to be different for everybody, what stories affect them and scare them and make their hearts hurt. And this is horrifying. And I thank you for being brave enough to be this vulnerable on the air for me, because I think people need to know how heart-aching this is.
Thank you for taking the call, and thank you for Lady B. She's always so kind and such a good listener. She's amazing.
She is. Thank you so much. And Donnie, you are too.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
Don.
All right, take care. Be well.
Okay, better days are on the way.
Yes, we're going to keep working together. See, and this is what I'm talking about, is having these conversations. Let me go to Cynthia, who's calling from Denver. Hi, Cynthia. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you? It's pretty cold out here. It's snowing off and on. I wanted to compliment you on the support host that you have had taking your place. They are very educational, the professor in particular, and I like being informed. So kudos for that.
Excellent.
And
I think Joan and I have a great rotation, and Richard Chu in the mornings. I think that we're blessed with a deep bench of entertaining and informed hosts.
Yeah. Now, I've calmed myself down. I wanted to just crawl through the phone when Joan had this guy on who was this guest who was trying to explain how the MAGA folks are slowly coming to realize what's going on and for us to be patient and calm with him. My position is that you can't fix stupid. Now, I'm not going to say stupid for all the MAGA people. I'm going to say willfully ignorant. And I just, there's too many people, excuse me, in my family that's going to be hurt by these policies.
Right.
And how Trump is just chopping things off. He doesn't follow the law. He's a criminal. Did you guys know that he has his mugshot hanging in the hallway in the White House?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that's not a big flip-off to all of us, what's going to get him under control? I follow Jim a lot. I like his statements all the time. I hear him on Joan. How is he going to be stopped? Who's going to stop this guy? And then my final statement is that everyone should be talking about how a billionaire can assess what an average American making less than $200,000 a year needs and doesn't need.
Yeah.
That should be the conversation, going forward, and just let him chop and chop and chop, and the lawyers, can handle it, and we can send money to them, the ACLU, and whoever else is fighting on our behalf. But that should ring a ding-a-ling bell right there. There is no way on the planet that they are going in and being considerate of our needs. None.
And not going in there with precision, to your point, because if you wanted to make sure that there wasn't waste or fraud, wouldn't you go in there with forensic accountants rather than software hackers?
Right, and I'm afraid that they have gummed up the works on, by sticking in some USB or coding something. They've already done that, and it's going to take people smarter than what he has to go in and find where they planted these chip switches, probably,
That's the concern.
So anyway, Lady B is wonderful.
Isn't
she calmed me down.
Love for Lady B. Oh, she's part therapist today. All right, folks. Be mindful of her too. Of her, see how she's doing when you call. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Because if you guys both have a tough job right now, and I'm concerned about the airlines, and we aren't even able to plan our trip out to Atlanta to fly for the summer. We wanted to do the aquarium out there. So I think we're just going to drive. We're going to have to rearrange a lot of stuff and drive from Denver to Atlanta.
Yep.
And because there's no way.
I am nervous about going to New Orleans. I mean, I'm kind of thinking about taking the Amtrak instead. It would just take me a long time. Oh, that would be fun. When are you going to Atlanta?
Well, my ex-husband's going to pay for it, so I got to wait for him.
All right.
In July, I hope,
That's a good time to drive. I think you'd have a nice trip. Or find out, I don't know how you guys, I don't think I've been through Denver on Amtrak. Do you guys have a stop? You have to.
We have Union, we do have Amtrak, Union Station. I think that's a good idea. I could find out about that. Mm-hmm. But we also have pets, so we have to find out.
Sure.
What's the less stressful? She has cats, my daughter, and I have dogs.
Gotcha.
So.
Oh, boy.
But anyway, thanks for listening, and God bless you guys. And
God bless you, too. Thank you, my friend. I'll talk to you again soon. Be safe. Be healthy. Be happy.
You. Bye.
Talk to you. Bye. Let's take a quick break here, and we're going to come back and take some more phone calls. When we come back, we got folks in Chicago and in Seattle, Indiana, Hoffman Estates. I got you. More in a moment.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
There's always great conversations here on WCPT, and tomorrow on Choose Views, Richard is back, and we'll be taking your calls and talking to Bing Wei Huang, Equity and Economic Opportunity Investigative Reporter at the Illinois Answers Project. That's Choose Views, weekdays from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. right here on WCPT, the Heartland Signal website. You can also go to TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And then Joan's show, Live, Local, and Progressive. She'll be joined by Dr. John Murphy, Professor of Communications at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and Bruce Rains, former CBS Los Angeles Deputy Bureau Chief. And, of course, Rich Eberwein with 3 stories you might have missed from our digital newsroom. Let's get to our phone calls. I know a lot of you have been on hold patiently for a while. So, Andy in Chicago, thank you for hanging in there. What's on your mind, my friend?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I've been admiring Lady B from afar for many years, and I just want to say she's awesome. Please, whatever you can do, hook her up.
Yeah, all right. I got some ideas. Thank you, Andy.
And second of all, I just want to say that I don't know if I'm ready to do the kumbaya thing with the maggots.
Oh, I got
you.
I
mean, it's like, here's the thing. It's like if your partner cheated on you, and he got caught, and he comes back crying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Can we try it?" I mean, would you? Would anybody take that person back? They would have to prove themselves and really prove themselves before you can accept them and give them another chance. And they've been so mean and so evil. The evangelicals especially, they would say horrible things to people and go back to where you came from. My mom, she was born and raised in Arizona, and all her family, has been in Arizona before when it was still Mexico. So when they would say, "Hey, go back," it's like, well, where?
Yeah.
Arizona?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I mean, Texas was part of. My mom is part of northern Mexico that used to, very right on the border with Texas, and Texas used to be part of Mexico. So it's like the border moved on them. It's so. I mean, it's just so insane. And at any rate, yeah. No, I get where you're coming from.
I'm not ready.
I know, what I was saying at the beginning of the show, where I want to try to figure out what my tone. I mean, I'm adjusting constantly, but I realize being snarky on social media might drive away people who want to do that work. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the only place I want to provide an avenue, a path, because there are people like even January 6ers. There's one woman who refused her pardon. There are. I mean, it's obviously just a fraction of the total number, but there are a few people who are like, no, I did the wrong thing, and those are the people you're talking about. And I don't know what to do. I'm not going to take on the work of facilitating it. To your point, there's a lot of pain, and you better believe I'm salty, Andy. I'm salty.
Oh, I know. and that's good. It's
yes.
good.
I'm Patti Vasquez. Patti. We're going to start I think I'm going to start that. I'm Petty Patty. I don't mind.
My God.
Yeah. Piggy Petty Patty.
No, that's fine. No, what I was going to say is that, so I'll think about, playing Kumbaya, a little bit more before anything.
Yeah, we'll see. I agree. Thank you, Andy.
Okay.
Be well, my
Bye-bye.
friend. Take care. Everyone,
You
take
too.
care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you. We all. I've been doing yoga again. I started working out every day, and I'm going to start taking some martial arts just to mostly, I think, feel empowered. Let's get to who's been on hold the longest now. Let's go to Mirna has been on hold the longest. Hey, Mirna, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi. 4 things. First of all, thank you to the Canadian first responders for their work in helping with the victims of the plane crash, the Delta plane crash. Second thing, happy President's Day to Elon Musk, since he's experiencing his first year as president.
Yeah, right.
Third thing, a lot of people don't understand why people are coming illegally or without documentation to the United States from Mexico. There's a shortage of immigration judges to hear their cases. Biden's plan was to hire more to get the cases heard quicker and get these people legalized. Over the weekend, Trump fired 20 of those judges that we're already short of. So he's really helping, isn't he? And fourth thing, I can't remember what the fourth thing was. Anyway, those were my 3 points.
It's a lot. No, I appreciate it. So for you, as the stories, if you were like, if someone said, okay, don't react to everything, just react to two issues that are most important to you, what would those be? Immigration? And
immigration, but I would say the ignorance that this country is experiencing.
Okay.
With so much technology, we have so much, resources, yet people are so stupid. I don't mean dumb. I don't mean kind of dumb. They're stupid. They don't take advantage of what we have. They don't read. Everyone looks at memes. They look at videos from, kids doing stupid things. But people don't bother to learn. They think, okay, I'm not in school anymore. I don't need to read anymore. I don't need to watch the news. I don't need to hear anything. And that's why this racism exists. I've said it before. Racism comes from ignorance of other cultures, ignorance that's shared by ignorant people to other ignorant people. And that is
interesting. Okay, the ignorance flooding the country, and I just read a story about the secrets of people who not only live longer but also look younger, look youthful. And one of the elements on that list was always be curious and always be learning something new. And I think that's your point. Is some people just shut down. And hey, look, I mean, they're busy, they're tired, they're working, they've got family things. And, if you think about a lot of folks who are just, going from moment to moment, having to get places to work, get their kids' games, their classes, and, all the things, people have to be mindful and choose to want to read something, to learn something new. And we can't, that's not something we can, you got to want that. And so that's to your point. There is a lot of willful ignorance swamping the country. So thank you, Mirna.
See, I try to do, like multitask. So usually when I'm listening to you and Joan, I'm either cooking or I'm doing dishes or doing something. So I'm listening and doing something else. Like right now, and this is a usual habit for me, I have you on either the radio or my telephone, but I have a TV on with the closed caption. So I can watch the news.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And I'm having dinner, so I'm doing great.
Yes, and that's why you often send me breaking news stories. So thank you. You're like my secret weapon as a reporter in the background. So thank you for that, Mirna. Appreciate it.
For the last thing, I remember the fourth thing.
Yes.
HSN, homeshopping.org. I'm so happy to hear this. This could not have happened to a greater governor. They're moving out of Florida. 2,000 employees. Yep, they're moving to Pennsylvania.
Hey,
some are doing that. Yeah, they're getting the option to either relocate to Pennsylvania or work from home until they're settled in.
To a new job.
They're leaving 2,000 jobs. So great news for today.
There you go. All right. I like it, Mirna. That was good news. All right. Thank you. Our next longest holder, I don't know if that's the way to put it. Paul, you're a holder. Got a couple minutes here before the top of the hour. What's on your mind, my friend?
Well, I'm not so anxious to play Kumbaya with the MAGAs. I mean, as we've all observed, they are the sorest bunch of winners that you've ever seen. You know, their whole thing is, we beat you, we crushed you, you are under our thumb now. I've never seen conservatives ever be afraid to. They never kind of moderate in social context. They are the ones that are ready to come out and say Biden sucks. And I mean, I have family members who do this. Nobody's playing nice at social, at family events or social events. So no, I don't need to do that with them. I mean, there are plenty of times that I could have argued back, but I don't.
Right.
So no, I don't need to play nice with them. But here's the thing. The conservative people in the rural areas, they don't want to pay taxes because they think they don't want to contribute to the debauchery of the urban Democrats.
Right.
But here's the deal. The last 3 elections were the same thing. Donald Trump won in the same 2,600 counties. His vote. He won 2,600 counties across America. Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris won the same 500 counties, which accounted for the same or more votes. In other words, the urban areas. But here's the difference. The 2,600 counties that Donald Trump won account for 32% of the economic productivity of this nation. The Democratic blue counties, the 500, account for 68% of the economic productivity of this nation. So when they think that we live out in the we don't want to, we're on our own out here. No, you're not.
No.
We're paying for you.
That's
in fact, the taxes that we pay subsidize the rural areas. And, I mean, their roads, and especially things they don't think about, like their hospitals. All of the hospitals get disproportionate hospital share subsidies from the federal government because, you see, if you have a rural hospital, you still have to have all the things it requires to save somebody's life when they come into the emergency room from a heart attack or a terrible accident. But you see, those hospitals don't really have enough business to pay for it. In other words, they don't have enough customers. And the customers they do have don't have any money.
And that includes even in blue states. In Illinois, parts of Illinois, there are maternal health deserts. Pregnant women in some places have to drive an hour and a half or more to have access to maternal health care. So it's across the board. Yep.
My younger brother, who's a MAGA, his daughter-in-law was up north Michigan, tearing around in the woods on a four-wheeler, which she should not have been driving, crashed into a tree, going about 35 miles an hour. She fractured her skull. She tore off her right shoulder practically. She fractured her femur, broke her ankles, had multiple bone wounds. Her shoulder was so bad that, it was – so they took her to the local hospital. They did save her life, but she required more surgery, more neurosurgery on her right shoulder because it was paralyzed. But this was before Obamacare, and she didn't have any insurance. So when she got back to the Detroit area, no neurosurgeon would do surgery on her because that's expensive surgery, and she didn't have any insurance. So this girl who was in beauty school, learning how to cut hair, can't even do that anymore because she can't lift her arm higher than her, up to her. She can't lift her arms to cut hair.
Right. Ugh.
She can only move her arm a little bit.
That's horrible.
Because she never got the neurosurgery that she needed, and because she didn't have insurance. And this is the Republicans. This is what happens to them. And they're so and they still have this. Well, we won, we beat you attitude. Like, no, you beat yourself.
And they never make those connections.
You see people running around with their nose cut off, and they go, wow, what happened to your nose? I cut that off just to spite you, man. Yep. It looks great, You cut off your nose to spite your face, and that's what you got.
Yep.
And that's what they do. And they're so wrapped up in winning and how much they won and being angry that they don't realize none of this. They're not even aware of this stuff because Fox News doesn't talk about all that Elon Musk is doing. They just talk about how bad the Democrats are bitching about it.
Spot on. I got to run to a break, Paul. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon, my friend. Thanks for holding on there, too. More in a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. Patti Vasquez. P
Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home, and want to say hello to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul here on in the evenings. It's, of course, the progressive voice of Minnesota. And, of course, everyone here in Chicago, we're broadcasting on WCPT 820 as it gets dark out. Remember that you can switch to the TuneIn app to listen, or the heartlandsignal.com website to listen live, as well as any of your other smart speakers. You say, play WCPT 820. And, all of our shows are podcast. And sometimes we also have, each one of the hosts has highlighted interviews as well. So check those out. I also want to thank our sponsors. We have a new sponsor. We have Source Solar. And remember, if you've got skyrocketing electric bills, there are over 100,000 homeowners who choose Source Solar as their number one solar provider. So go to solar.source for more information. Again, that's source.solar. You guys, I've got to get these things straight. Source.solar, your local source for solar panel installation. So that's source.solar. I knew I was going to flip those around. So thank you so much to our friends Peter and Warren for being sponsors of the show and helping us continue these conversations. And, of course, thanks to Minocqua Brewing Company. Kirk Bankstead, the fearless leader from Minocqua Brewing Company, will be broadcasting live from the Madison Room Tap Room tomorrow from 5 to 7. We'd love to see you come out. It's not just beer. It's also, they've got root beer. They've got orange soda. They've got great Nope seltzer. And, by the way, really good pizzas. So just saying. And sometimes there are times, Jen, I've been thinking about you and I've been trying to watch what I eat. Jen Zanotti joins us, all things Gen Z. I've been working out every day. I've been making a commitment. I don't need to say how long I've been doing it, but let's just say I've been doing it every day since I told myself this. Today I did 50 push-ups, but adjusted, on my kitchen counter. I did 50 squats, 50 lunges, 50-second plank. I haven't done wall chair for a long time. I forgot how much that hurts. Like putting it
wall sit, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that burns. And then some
that's awesome.
And then some light free weights. I'm just trying to work on my shoulders and arms, and need to get stronger for all kinds of reasons. And I am always grateful. But I think of you when you help me stay motivated in my head. You're my
I love that.
my internal voice. So thank you for that.
Oh, yay! That makes me happy.
Excellent. How are you? By the way, let's let folks know about your new podcast. You and your lovely husband Jay dropped today or this week about owning a gym.
Yeah, so it's I've taken a little break. It seems like it's just been a few months, but it's been more like probably a year that I haven't podcasted because we've been so just busy with our gym and businesses and so much going on. So it was great. We recorded this episode a few months back, and finally I was able to get it out there. So it's always fun when Jay, my husband, co-hosts with me. And if we can make it a regular thing, we might, kind of have our own show, but we'll see. But it's the glamour. I think people think it's very glamorous or always amazing to have your own gym, and we are so grateful, and we have a great community, but we kind of talk about a little bit of the humor and the interesting side of that, sure. And what it really means to own a gym. So it's a fun episode for sure.
I love that. So congratulations on dropping another podcast. And we often, I often have topics for you that are related to managing stress and things like that. But we all just celebrated Valentine's Day, and I know that you have some insights, not just with your own relationship, but your own family and then clients that you work with. You've talked to people with all different backgrounds, and I know you wanted to talk a little bit about healthy relationships, and maybe it's not romantic, maybe it's even friendship. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts in this area.
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially now. And I don't know if this is something as I get older too. And, I'm on my second marriage. My husband, his second marriage, or hopefully, it's our last marriage. But we've, I think you really figure out kind of what you want in a partner. And, talking about kind of that partnership first, and maybe more of a romantic relationship just coming off of Valentine's Day. But I think it's just really important. Life is short, and you need to be happy, and just really recognizing what it is to be in a healthy relationship. When I first went through my divorce, I was to the point where it was just not healthy. It was toxic. And I felt like, you know what, I'm better off being on my own than being in a relationship, right? That's going to cause me all this, negativity and just so many negative emotions and things and stress. And so it was, to a point where I really wanted to be able to work on myself, love myself. And I think that's something that people really need to understand is self-love is huge. To be able to give yourself love and get to a place where you feel healthy enough to be in a relationship or look for a relationship. Because I think a lot of times we look for other people to kind of make us happy and fix things in our lives, and we can't do that. That is just not our partner's job or anyone else's job. We really have to kind of look to ourselves to be able to get to that place, to give our love to somebody else, and also, build up a relationship together. So I think, in talking to so many people, clients and people in life, I'm to a point where I've seen what a, toxic relationship can be and what a really healthy one is. And, Jay and I just have such a great partnership, but I think, that really entails a lot of trust, respect, laughter. I came up with a little list here. I've been doing kind of my list for Mondays, but, being best friends, one of the things Jay would always talk about was that, of course he loves me, but he likes me and that I like him. Like we actually like each other and like hanging out and being with each other. So I think that's something really important. You like spending time with this other person that you're with, right? I think that's something that, if you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody or in a long-term relationship, you want to be able to hang out with them. You want them to be like a best friend. You want to be able to navigate through things like challenging times that we're going through right now, to have that person, right, and to be able to communicate and grow together. And I think also really being able to build each other up, to build up that other person. You don't want to be with someone who always has to feel like they're taking kind of the energy always and not really supporting you and reciprocating that. So I think a lot of that, even though we're talking about, maybe more of a romantic relationship and, of course, being attracted to somebody, can also transfer over to relationships with friends, with people in your life. I have been talking about detachment as one of the themes for my clients that I work with for nutrition and fitness. And, you kind of have to take stock and take a look at what relationships are positive in my life and what maybe are not adding so much value. And, kind of stepping back a little bit. And that's okay. I think people need to understand that is okay. If something is not making your life better or harming you or hurting you, that you can cut that out of your life or take a pause or take a break.
Yeah. I had a relationship in college, and I think I come back to sometimes because, especially when you mentioned that when you realize when you need to remove yourself or that and we also have to be comfortable with being alone. I think that's also part of it. Mm-hmm. And also there comes this point where you almost feel like we talk about how hard it is to say, you were wrong, right? That you went down the wrong path for so long, and like there almost feels like this investment of time and energy, and I can still fix it, or it's okay if they talk to me that way. And I often I talk about him on stage. I talk about a boy I dated in college named Tom. Let's call him Tom because that's his name. But I remember like the first time I felt it, and I kind of just let it go, and then but it was also kind of like permission. And I don't know if it was like I didn't want to fight, but I remember this so specifically. We were in college together, and I kind of flopped down on his couch. I had a long day, and I sighed, and he goes, you're not going to start bitching, are you? Right? And and that was like the first time I noticed it. And then we were like, and this is how long ago it was. We were at a video store, and I said, I love this movie. I was looking at a VHS tape, and he goes, do you love it? Are you in love with it? Do you want to marry it? And you don't know, because then I felt stupid. I was like, I guess that was kind of stupid what I said. And you start internalizing that too, and it can be hard to identify it too, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, I was in a pretty bad scenario, but Jay, you know, he was in a relationship, a marriage for 20 years with a narcissist, you know, and it was very unhealthy. And I think a lot of times, and that's kind of the intention, is you look back to yourself. Like, is it me? Did I say something wrong? Was that dumb? You know, and over time, it just kind of like eats away at you. So I think it takes a long time for people to recognize, like, this is not healthy. This is not me. This is, you know, the other, I don't want to say it's the other person, but people will try to, you know, shift their challenges or issues that they're going through onto someone else, right? Or throw blame to somebody else. So really being able to kind of understand and know that it's okay to question that, and to maybe even, like, for myself, I had, you know, I went to a therapist. I found, you know, a therapist. I didn't tell my ex-husband at the time because I felt like I needed somebody neutral that I could talk to that wasn't, you know, family or friends or anybody that was kind of connected to the situation. And I was really able, like, it really just kind of opened up my eyes, like, oh, wow, yeah, this is, like, I have to trust my gut. Like, my intuition is spot on here, and this is not okay. And I think people really paying attention to how they're feeling physically, you know, is something that's like a red flag. Like, look at those, you know, pay attention to those signs. And I think a lot of times we just feel maybe ashamed, or, you know, I didn't want to have to go through a divorce. I didn't want to upset or disappoint anybody. Yes. But ultimately, my family was like, we want you to be happy. And it wasn't fair to my ex-husband either, because I was like, how can you be happy if we're in this situation? Like, I can't live a lie knowing that, you know, I don't want to be in this marriage. And so why are we going to stay in this, you know, scenario? So, you know, I think just being able to understand, like, it's okay, really following your gut, your intuition, seeking outside counsel or help if you need that, and really just paying attention to some of those red flags. It's like, you know, you should not be living a miserable life. Your partner should not be making you feel miserable. That's something that I just think we have to remember. They should be adding to your life, making things better. Of course, we go through challenging times, but you should want to be with that person to get through those times, right? Yep. So I think that's something to really look at, and especially if you're single and trying to find that person, you know, don't settle for that. Just, you know, really think about kind of some of these things that would be important. You know, someone that can really get through hard times with you, someone that can make you laugh. I think that's one of the biggest things, and you probably understand that very well. Mm-hmm. But laughter is just one of the most amazing things in a relationship, to be able to laugh, like, until you cry with somebody. I mean, Jay and I do that all the time, and I think it's the best. So, like, that just feels so good to have someone that you can do that with. And a lot of times in relationships, people don't have that. And I just feel, you know, I just want everyone to feel how we feel. Like, I want everyone to have that, because I know what's on the other side. So yes. I think that, you know, that's kind of like my motivation of, don't settle. There's your person waiting for you. And, you know, I feel like that happens when you least expect it sometimes too.
The good ones are out there, folks. I don't. Yeah. I'm 29 years in. 25 years. We'll be married this July, as a matter of fact. So
amazing!
I know, and that is after not just the sort of, you know, this being in a relationship with somebody who was, you know, demeaned me, and you know, that was something where I needed to stand up for myself. But it was followed by a verbally abusive relationship that ended where he threatened to kill me, and you know, it's you can make it through. It's not easy. So as Jen said, you've got to find that outside voice, and so we're not talking. You know, I think it's the whole spectrum of things. Because it affects your mental health to be in a relationship that isn't with somebody who that you rely on, can trust, and feel safe with. So, Jen, I really appreciate this conversation.
Absolutely. I was like, you know what? I feel like this is something we should maybe talk about, because especially in times right now, I just think really having either family, friends, or partners that can help you navigate through this. You want the right people by your side. So I think that's something important for yourself. You deserve that. So
you do, folks. You deserve that. You deserve to be loved and to feel safe. And thank you, Jen, for sharing that message. I love you.
I love you so much. I'm coming home this week.
Oh, all right. I think I'm around this weekend. I think I'm around. Yeah, that sounds right. Let's try to let's try to make it happen this time. I know that you get busy and so do I, but awesome. even if we just drive by each other and just wave.
Yeah, that's perfect.
There you go. I'll drive by O'Hare Airport and be like, I know Jen's up there somewhere. Be well, Jen. I'll talk to you this weekend then.
Thank you.
That's
okay, love you.
All things Gen Z, and you can also find their podcast. What's the name of the podcast again?
The Gen Z podcast. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, go to All Things Gen Z, and the link is right on my website.
Excellent. Thank you, my friend. Be well. It's cold here, by the way. Sorry about that.
I know.
Cool. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Let's take a break here. And the phone lines are open. It's all yours now for the rest of the show, folks. So if you want to call back in, if you were waiting, I am taking your calls. And we'll get to the first one when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Brought to you by Source Solar. Go to source.solar to learn more about the work that they do. And, of course, Minocqua Brewing Company. More after this.
Hey, Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Sometimes when I know I'm going to have a guest on and the phone lines are totally lit up, I'll try to jump onto some of the lines and let listeners know that I'll get to their call right after the guest, or if it's going to be a while, and give them the choice to call back or hang on. So, Bobby, if you want to call back from Indiana, I know we've got a couple other callers who called back, and Katrina chose to stay on the line. Katrina, what's on your mind, my friend, out there in the suburbs?
All right. I just want to thank you for this outlet. Now I'm in the mood for love from
I'm trying a little bit of everything.
I don't want to be a downer now.
No, hey, let's go.
I was just talking about our liberties being infringed upon a little bit with the DOG having access to our tax returns and Social Security benefits and people and loan disbursements and things of that nature. I was just commenting that anytime there's a breach in our information, if you have credit card or your medical, your hospital, or anytime that there's a breach, you get a letter in the mail that says, hey, we want to give you a notice just to let you know that your information might have been leaked. Possibly you might even be part of a settlement, right?
Yeah.
So that's not what I'm interested in. I just feel if the DOG has access or has infiltrated my information, I want to notice. That's part of my right as an American citizen. And I just want to know more about this coding that they put into the system with these young fellows that they hired to code. I don't know much about coding, but I know coding can reroute money in different places, and if you found there was corruption and you retrieved money from USAID and all these different places that have millions and billions of dollars. Okay, so you retrieve that money. Where is that money being rerouted to? Since we weren't even aware, we weren't knowledgeable that there was being misuse of billions of dollars. So if it does get rerouted somewhere else, when are we going to be made aware of anything? Us as Americans, I believe that's part of our liberty. I just have to put that out there.
Yeah, I don't. Right. I mean, there is this possibility that we'll never know the extent to which they've changed the coding, what they had access to, what they did with the information they had, or even, as you mentioned, the revenue. Because, look, we've seen enough of these movies, right? We are living in the Bond villain era where we know that money can just be, put out into the ether and is irretrievable. I don't know what they're up to either. Yep, and I don't know what the recourse is either, because I heard today on Richard's show, they were talking about, I think it was Richard's show, or all the shows we talk about, Greg Palast's documentary about all these millions of votes that might have been scraped and thrown in the garbage, and they were like, well, why didn't anyone do anything about it? Like, that's all of this feels like that. Why isn't anyone doing anything? And I used to think during his first administration that it was going to take the courage of Republicans to really put this to rest, when it comes to the path he's on. But that's gone because they're all emboldened by him. They're all benefiting, whether it's in their elections or financially. It is wild. And it's just, Katrina, I know you and I could go on and on, couldn't we? So,
thank you for this outlet. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Oh, my mic is your mic, my friend. Be well, be safe, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Let's get to, I'm going to go ahead and go through the calls because I know Dave was on hold for a while and he called back. Can I be late for the 30? Or do I tell Dave I can't be late for the 30? Don't be late for the 30. I gotta go to the break. I gotta wave off from the behind the glass. All right, sorry, Dave. I'll get right back to you after the break. More after this on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
And I promised right out of the gate, we get to Dave from Hoffman Estates. Sorry about that wave off I got there. Sometimes I mess with my clock and that messes everybody else up. So let's stay on time and are mindful of your time. Thank you for calling back, Dave. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Patty. In the last hour when the Jim had called and said something about the IRS calling, they don't call you.
You know what?
I hope he was
you know what's funny about that? My mom was we were at our accountant's office. This is my first time talking to accountants. They make me very nervous, and also the way I've been doing my taxes for years, I don't know how to explain it to them, like the sort of crazy Patty math that I've been doing. But he was saying the same thing, that they don't call you. Only she did get a call, and I checked the number from the Department of Revenue in Illinois. So he was making a joke. First of all, I think that Jim's got that sense of humor. I think he was. He also talked about talking to his bank, but I think that was a joke.
Yeah, because it's the season. It's the scams.
Yeah, be careful, everybody. Yes, do not give out your Social Security. Although, who else would tell people anymore? Don't give out your Social Security number when they've gone ahead and taken it. I don't even know what to tell people anymore, Dave.
Yeah, but along that line, they'll mail you the stuff.
Yes.
And tricky, these things. They go by the phone, and you do not say yes and stuff like that. Is this one yes? Because then they got your voice recorded, and then they put you into something else that you bought, and they use your voice as a, as a confirmation and something. So no, I get them, I hang up because about a month ago, like I told you, I had that one with the tollway, got this text and that coming up saying that the old money.
Thank you for reminding me. Yes, go tell people what about the scam on their phones from about the transponders and the IDOT.
Yeah, because it said that you owed money, and it showed that everything looked just like, official, Illinois toll and all of that stuff. But they had like a, when you see people's face or head, well, all you see was a silhouette. And on that one, the number had the plus symbol and 63 dash whatever. My wife looked it up. 63 is the code for the Philippines. So that was a big scam. But right now everybody's starting to do their taxes. So,
yeah.
So
be mindful.
I would not say nothing. I'd hang up on them. They ain't the real deal. But on speaking of another thing that talking about like with the egg prices and that and the chickens, I don't know if you ever watch that on CNN, the show, they got that Scott Jennings as one of these, moderators. And the guy's got that smarmy look on his face and that. And when they were talking about the egg prices, he had that smirk. He said, well, I got chickens. He said, I don't, he ain't worried about that and that. And, well, guess what? If some kind of wild bird flies around in there and has got the flu, the bird flu, and chickens are some of the nastiest things, with the chicken yards and that, and they get the flu from that. Like if a wild bird or a wild duck or something come by and got the bird flu and leave the droppings or something, guess whose chickens are going to get infected, And as for the price, what does it cost for a bag of, for the feed? Or driving up to the farm feed store, so it all breaks down. I mean, they're not exactly so smart, and that, and hopefully, get sick from them. But then lastly, so other thing, the name was, I was watching the Weather Channel this morning. They were showing those awful floods in Tennessee and Kentucky and all of that, and they were right away to come up. So they said President Trump right away gave federal aid, for Tennessee and then for them. Wasn't he kind of snotty and bitchy and that about California with the fire?
Yeah, well, they
didn't vote, but he knows that Tennessee and Kentucky guys voted for him, so yes, he gets the money real quick, So.
Yeah, I don't know why they decided to rescind the extension for clearing land in Georgia following their storms, but they refused Governor Kemp's request to extend the funding, which had been apparently promised under President Biden.
And that California with the firefighters too, didn't they? Because of the federal whatever, didn't Trump fire a bunch of these guys that had been fighting them fires, for a good month and that? I don't know if they were federal workers or whatever, but that a bunch of them, they got fired.
Oh, I haven't seen that. There's so many firings, it's hard to keep track of who's getting fired where.
Oh, I know.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Well, listen, let me clear out. Thanks for taking the call so others can get through.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me... Have a great night, Dave. It's Dave in Hoffman Estates. We were talking earlier about the hospital deserts and rural parts of the country because there, some folks. I mean, there are hospitals that I know Paul was talking about critical access. His listener texted in that Paul was talking about critical access hospitals. He was talking about his sister being in a horrible accident and then not receiving this is before the Affordable Care Act, the full ability to recover her mobility of her arm because the hospital or whoever bureaucrats decided that she didn't have good enough insurance for that. And then we were also talking about the the lack of access to immediate care, to be close, to drive. A lot of hospitals are closing. One listener says, Paul was talking about critical access hospitals. They are hospitals usually under 25 beds. They get better Medicare and Medicaid and get higher reimbursements, but it's still not enough, which is why you see so many small hospitals close. And they said that for the for-profit healthcare system, they have 4 of those small hospitals that they work for. We spend millions to keep up those small hospitals so they have state-of-the-art facilities and equipment. It is concerning that people like Musk and the Doge bags. By the way, the vote for Lady B for whether it's Dodgy or Doge bags is leading because one listener says it sounds crude, and that's why they like it. I think I don't know if it's Hal or Stephanie, but I'm happy to repeat some of the things that I hear throughout the day. But they said it's concerning. They want to look at not-for-profit hospital system. It's very bad for ill, vulnerable, and low-income patients, etc. So thank you for that information. I know we've got Roosevelt. Roosevelt's on hold. Hey, my friend, how are you doing this evening?
Hey, Patty. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, listen.
Yes. Listen. Sorry. Reminds me of the Saturday shows. Listen.
Yeah, the other show. From time to time, and I wonder, since you're younger than me, and you're closer to J.D. Vance's age and Rubio's age.
God.
Do you ever wonder what kitchen table conversations are in their family? Because basically they're helping and aiding to destroy their own kids and grandkids' future. You name it, and it's everything. With the storms and everything and global warming. Are they that stupid? Because they're very intelligent people. They're accomplished people. Let me tell you, I criticize Rubio. I hate Rubio. I hate for what he's doing. I hate the fact that when it's convenient for him, he's Latino, and then he's not Latino. So... And then with Vance, he's even younger. I believe he just turned 40. I'm not sure about that. But do you ever wonder? I mean, they must know that they're doing wrong, but they don't think of their kids. I could see Trump, because Trump is not even a human. Let's just call it what it is. He's a machine, and the machine, only concentrates on one thing, and that is money and power. Actually, 2 things, but they go together hand in hand. So, do you ever wonder that? I mean, to me, I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking too deep. But to me, is it worth it? I mean, is it really worth it to have this?
If I think there is an element like getting, being pulled into or aspiring to be a part of these circles and being, insinuating yourself into circles of powerful, wealthy people. I know that, first of all, you're right. Rubio is actually my age. He is 53 years old, and Vance is 40 years old. I think. What I imagine, right, is that part of it is they don't see it that way, Roosevelt, that they're ruining things for their kids' futures. And they honestly have this sort of crusade image of themselves, whether it's a religious based or American patriotism based. But I also think that they figure they can build enough protection that whatever happens isn't going to affect their family. That they'll be like a somewhat of a dynasty or have all this whether it's wealth or power. I think that sort of blinds them to what is actually leading with empathy and being a public servant. Because and look, we know that there are Democrats that don't operate from a place of empathy and being a servant to the people. Some people do have that calling. Some of them lose it along the way. Vance is interesting because it seems like when he was younger, and I don't know much because there was so much that went on during the campaigning that we learned about Vance because we, sort of a little bit of the hillbilly elegy element to it, and people coming out from from his part of the country. Was it Appalachia that he wrote about? And they were like, he's not one of us, and then sort of he had a friend who was trans and seemed to be supportive of them. And, he was very critical of President Trump. But when he saw that wasn't, remember, he called him Hitler. He didn't trust him just a few years ago. Right. So he's very malleable depending on where the money comes from, where the invitation to power, to sit at the table and to be a part of that and build with them. Some people are that's like I talked to a friend of mine who is very successful, and I told him, we've known each other since high school. I said, look, we just come at things from a different perspective, and we don't operate. I'm not ambitious financially, and I wish that I was. I wish I was more financially savvy, but I also don't wish that I was so craven that if someone invited me to do horrible things to other people, that would be worth it for me to have to be amongst the billionaires and be part of the oligarchy or providing the power to the oligarchy. I don't have that in me.
Yeah, but Patty, I kind of disagree with you because you took the specific things that I was mentioning, and you kind of expanded on it. And I basically made it a common denominator.
The kitchen table, like what are they talking about at the kitchen table?
No. I'm talking about how you were talking about other people. I wasn't talking about other people. I was talking about their family. Right. I was talking about specifically. Let's call it what it is. Uh-huh. All these guys that are following Trump, they don't care about other people. But, sure. But do they care about their families? Do they care about their kids? The damage that they're doing to their kids. And let me expand it just a little bit from the angle of Latino. To be honest with you, all the Cuban politicians, they're all like that down in Florida. All of it. I could give you examples. We could be talking for an hour about how cruel they are, even to their own people. Look at what Rubio just said. I believe he had a conversation with another Cuban, and he goes, "No, you're going to get deported," or something to that effect. But the point I'm trying to make is that it? Is that what makes you tick? The fact that you're going to have prestige because they call you, or you have the title of being Secretary of State, or because you went up the ladder in politics and now you could run for president. Now you're getting some creds under your belt, but creds to the point that really is basically not it, because you can't be an individual to make decisions because somebody else is pulling the strings, such as Trump. Rubio's just a puppet, just like Trump. Trump is a puppet to Putin.
They're tools. Yes.
And they're tools. But the point is, I could see Trump because at his age, he's been like this since the beginning. He's one in a trillion. I've never seen a person like that coward, and also that cruel. I've never in my life met anybody. And to the point that I'm saying that I just wonder, I'm 68. When you're 68, you're not 53. When you're not 53, you're 40 like J.D. Vance. That's my point. I kind of remember when I was
But let me go back, because you were saying that it was, why would they do this to their kids? Why do you think that they think they're doing anything harmful to their kids' future or to their kids directly?
Well, I kind of answer my own question.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of answer my own question. It's a combination of things, to be honest with you, and that's my point. I've been thinking about that, and sometimes I say, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but it's all prestige, power, and money.
Yeah,
let's call it what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it.
And Ruby, I'll be honest with you, and to add to these two characters, they're both very intelligent. Rubio, did you ever hear him speak Spanish?
Yes.
The guy he's very intelligent. Mm-hmm. He's very intelligent, and he does it with both languages. He's able to express himself and to draw you in. He's basically charismatic in a different way, in a way where you could say, wow, this guy really knows his stuff. But at the same token, it's like, it's for naught. Now, this is my way of thinking. It's for naught because you're being manipulated. And my point also is they know they're doing wrong. That's my point. In other words, they know they're doing wrong by following this knucklehead nut, the way Jim calls him, narcissist. But is I don't know.
I can say this. And I've mentioned it before, I am related to somebody who is very deeply embedded in this circle of psychopaths. And he's a psychopath. They don't think that what they're doing is harm. Like I mentioned Crusade. In particular, my in-law sees whether it is, people of color, because I like the conversations that we've had. And I don't want to go into any specifics right now, but he's singularly focused on getting rid of making abortion illegal, of making sure that we're deporting people. I know personally, having married into this family, being spoken to at my, I'm not supposed to do this anymore. But the things that comments that have been made to me, I just can't get over how much your sons look Mexican. They just look so Mexican. Like I'd muddied the waters, right? And saying derogatory things to my mother. So these people don't have any consideration for the people around them. They really are about power, their vision of what America should look like and how we should behave. And that's personally what I know on a level that I've seen up close for 30 years.
Hey, you know what? You and me have to have a talk about that, because you and me have a lot in common. I don't know if you know it or not, but my wife is Anglo-Saxon, Polish, German, the whole shot, Czech, the whole shot. So I know, and I could tell you things that have happened you would not believe. Yeah. So I sympathize with you as far as that, and I never thought I would be in a position to watch somebody in news stories doing the things that they're doing, the harm. I can't. I'm not allowed to do the things. Okay, so at any rate, no.
They're bad people, and I say that from a personal.
People.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess we got to leave it at that. And then one thing that I felt bad is the lady that was got sent to. Oh man, that was so bad, and it's so sad, and it's.
I kind of cut you off, Roosevelt. Folks who don't know that there was a trans individual who was tortured and murdered in a motel room in New York. They were from Minnesota, and it seems this went on for weeks. It was 5 people who have been arrested and charged, and it is horrific. And there are so many people out there who have participated in marginalizing, dehumanizing people who want to be themselves and express themselves, live their lives as they imagine, as they feel. So, yeah, that's horrible. Yes.
Do I got 15, 20 seconds?
Yes.
I also feel like, I don't know who it was that mentioned this, the kumbaya thing. Yeah. I'm done.
I know.
I'm done with that. And if you want to continue this, do it. But don't involve, the fact that, because I take no pleasure in saying this, but in my community, there's still people to this day that still follow this knucklehead.
I know.
And it's, I don't know what it takes.
I don't know either. Well, thank you for the conversation, Roosevelt.
Appreciate it. It was a great conversation with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roosevelt. Yeah, sometimes I can get through. I can have the time. So thank you. Thank you for your patience. All right. Thank you. Let's take a break here, and we'll continue our conversation and wrap up when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities, in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Just got a text from our friend Joe Kilgallen. He's like, "Can I come in tomorrow?" Here's the thing. That's what I love about the show. Friends of mine will be like, "Hey, I got to talk to you about something." And I love my guest co-host. Joe, I'm going, hey, everybody. I will be at the Minocqua Brewing Tap Room in Madison. So otherwise, I would definitely have you on in a heartbeat, which is exactly the text I'm sending right now. But yeah, we'll be broadcasting live from the Madison, Wisconsin Tap Room for Minocqua Brewing Company. And I'm so excited about that. Plus, they have really good pizza. And folks, going to a tap room doesn't mean, I know for some folks it might not be comfortable, if you're in recovery or right now there's a lot of, it's very stressful and maybe we're overindulging and want to slow down. There's also great seltzer. There's great root beer, orange soda. There's also a lot of great gear, hats and T-shirts. And I have my Viva la Resistance shirt I will wear tomorrow for the broadcast. Or I don't know if it's clean. I wear it pretty much all the time. But at any rate, so yes, that's where I'll be tomorrow. Of course, we want to thank our sponsors, Minocqua Brewing, Company. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. I will be publishing a piece on Thursday. So I'll be covering healthcare. Someone texted in abortion care is healthcare, and I agree. And I'm going to talk about the maternal mortality rates and infant mortality rates, which have really become catastrophic in some states where they are restricting women's access to have the full range of care. So I also want to say hi to all of our friends watching on the Facebook Live page. And thank you, Joe. But yeah, let me know. I think I'm around the rest of the week too. So come on in whenever you want. Let me see some of our friends. I know Eileen and Audrey are watching on the Facebook Live. I don't know if Bridget has been able to join the Facebook Live page. I want to let you know I do have my emotional support dumpster fire, my pink crocheted dumpster fire that I take with me to every show now here on WCPT and KTNF AM 950. It says, I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything is fine. I saw a post from someone who said that if she asks you how you're doing and you say, I'm great, Ken Mejia Beal and I were on the phone today. He and Elliot Serrano will be filling in for me on March 3rd and 4th. And he was like, I'm great. I'm fantastic. And I was like, I don't trust people who say that. And I need everybody to be in this emotional tailspin. No, you don't have to be. It's just really hard for me to say that I'm great, that I'm good. I'm just Adam Seltzer, I think, and I have the same, I'm here. And keep showing up. So, again, I do want to say hi to all of our friends who are watching. We've got, I know, Eileen, Karen. Hi. This is Ellen. This is, it's like Romper Room. It's coming by and saying hi to our friends. Oh, no, I lost the whole list. Where'd everybody go? So it's not always easy for me to catch folks when we're live on the live feed and see who's there. I know Lamont often drops in. But you can catch our show on, hi, Eileen. And Frank, hey, Frank. And I know Steve Serrano, I believe that's Elliot's brother, was also watching. So thanks, everybody. So you can catch us on the Facebook live stream as well as YouTube and, of course, on the TuneIn app. Oh, we have to go. Randy Rhodes is up next. Again, thank you to Source Solar. Go to source.solar. That's source.solar. I got to write these things down in front of me. Source.solar, your choice for affordable solar. They have over 100,000 happy customers. So check them out. Motivational Brewing Company. Randy Rhodes next. Matt McNeil. Bye, Lady B. Love you.